The Cartwright family had stumbled upon their dream home, a magnificent Victorian-era house, standing tall at the end of a tranquil cul-de-sac. The real estate agent, while referring to it as a hidden gem, had an eagerness to part with it that was almost palpable. Little did they know what lay in store for them within those grand walls. Upon moving in, they discovered a mysterious relic left behind by the previous owners, an antique porcelain doll adorned with glassy sapphire eyes, a faded velvet dress, and a name tag reading Penelope. This enigmatic figurine perched itself in a rocking chair in the attic, as though it had been awaiting the arrival of a new family. The Cartwrights' youngest daughter, Ava, just 5 years old, promptly declared the doll as her own. She would engage in whispered conversations with it, giggling as if in the company of an invisible playmate. Her parents, Sophia and David, initially dismissed these occurrences as the vivid imagination of a child. However, as time passed, strange and unsettling events began to unfold with increasing frequency. The temperature would inexplicably plummet, doors slammed shut on their own, and even the family cat exhibited bizarre behavior, hissing and growling at unseen entities. Mysterious shadows danced in the corners of rooms, and eerie creaks and groans seemed to call out to the Cartwrights in the dead of night. One fateful evening, as the family sat down for dinner, a sudden drop in temperature enveloped the room. Penelope, seemingly of her own volition, tumbled from her rocking chair and shattered into pieces. Ava, devastated by the loss of her cherished doll, burst into inconsolable tears. David, while attempting to collect the fragments, felt an eerie chill run down his spine, for Penelope's glassy eyes appeared to be tracking his every move. From that moment on, the Cartwrights were acutely aware that they were not alone in the house. Whispers echoed through the walls. A haunting lullaby emanated from the attic without a discernible source. Strange noises reverberated through the halls, and objects moved of their own accord. They tried to dismiss it as mere quirks of an old house, but the disconcerting sensation of being observed never abated. One evening, while Ava and Sophia were in the attic, Ava suddenly shrieked in terror. Unbeknownst to her mother, the rocking chair had begun to sway on its own. Rushing upstairs in alarm, David discovered Ava cowering in a corner, her trembling finger pointing at the now motionless rocking chair. Their understanding of the house's eerie occurrences deepened when they unearthed an old newspaper clipping hidden behind a loose attic panel. The article detailed the tragic demise of a young girl named Penelope, who had met her end in the very house they now occupied. Penelope's parents had commissioned the porcelain doll as a keepsake, unknowingly transforming it into a vessel, a repository for an evil presence that lingered in the house long after the young girl's untimely passing. Tormented by restless nights and increasing anxiety for their daughter's safety, Sophia and David reached a breaking point. They sought the guidance of a local priest who, after an initial visit, refused to set foot in the house again. Faced with no other option, they made the difficult decision to burn Penelope's shattered body, hoping it would put an end to the strange phenomena. As they set the doll ablaze, the flames took on an unsettling life of their own, casting a sinister glow throughout the room. Briefly, there was an eerie calm, but it was short-lived. With Penelope reduced to ash, the house seemed to enter a state of distress. The walls groaned with a profound sorrow, far more haunting than the typical creaks of aging timber. It felt as though the very essence of the house was writhing in mourning over the doll's destruction. In this disquieting stillness, they would occasionally catch sight of a small shadow darting around corners, accompanied by the soft, eerie sound of a child's laughter echoing in the distance. Despite the doll's absence, the persistent feeling of being observed endured, leaving them with the disconcerting suspicion that they were perhaps not alone, that the spirit of the house, or something within it, remained unbound and watchful. As dawn broke and sunlight streamed into the house, the Cartwrights cautiously exhaled, as if daylight could dispel the night's terrors. Sophia, who had adored their beautiful home, couldn't shake the feeling that they had narrowly escaped a malicious force. Even though the cat now peacefully basked in the sunlight and Ava slept without nightmares, the Cartwright family couldn't shake the sensation of still being watched. They observed the dancing shadows in the evening light, wondering who or what might still lurk in their home, leaving behind a trail of unsolved mysteries. The newfound calm that pervaded their home did little to ease the Cartwrights' lingering fears. Every laugh that echoed off the walls and every whisper of the wind against the windows seemed to carry the murmurings of something unseen. They went about their days with a sense of caution, wondering if this tranquility was merely a reprieve, a fleeting respite granted by whatever hidden presence might still be lurking just out of sight. Detective Daniel Harris, seasoned in solving grim cases, never imagined the peculiar encounter that awaited him in the absence of the night's moon. An anonymous, puzzling note had found its way to him, hinting at a doll maker on the edge of Riverdale, a town wrapped in its secrets and half-whispered rumors. The note spoke of dolls, so real they were unnerving, suggesting a disturbing fusion of exceptional art and dark magic that trapped souls within their porcelain bodies. Driven by the mystery and haunted by rumors of old, Daniel was drawn to the outskirts to the doll maker's run-down place. It felt unwelcoming, as if the very air around it was thick with bad intentions, and the weak light that shone from its windows seemed to struggle against the engulfing darkness. As Daniel entered the dim and stale interior, his instincts sharpened. The walls were lined with dolls so lifelike that it was startling. Their glassy eyes seemed to see into him, and their skin, crafted to resemble that of humans, looked as though it could respond to touch. The whole house seemed alive with a hostile presence, as if something unseen was watching and waiting. A pained, haunting moan floated down from the second floor, drawing Daniel into the house's sinister embrace. The atmosphere became chillier, and the sense of unwelcomeness grew with each step he took upward. At the hallway's end, an odd light seeped out from under a door. The moaning increased, reaching a fever pitch, driving Daniel to see what lay behind the door. With the confidence of a man who had faced down the worst of humanity, he pushed it open. What he saw inside was straight out of a nightmare. A doll, an exact replica of a young girl, seemed to be caught in an eternal moment of pain, silent and still. The room felt charged with a wicked energy, as if the doll's silent screams were bouncing off the walls. Daniel stood frozen as the doll's movements ceased, and it suddenly looked straight at him. It spoke with a voice that was both sweet and terrifying, and it knew his name. It was as if something dark and old had woken up inside the doll, and it had been waiting just for him. Daniel's belief in a rational world was shaken. He felt an icy grip of fear that kept him rooted to the spot, even as the doll spoke of a curse that bound him to it. The urge to escape was overpowering, but the doll's voice stopped him, promising they were now joined in a dark union. Rushing out of the house, he was haunted by the feeling that the doll's eyes were still on him. The days after were filled with dread. Daniel uncovered more about the doll maker's past and a curse that had haunted Riverdale for ages. It started to affect him, causing him to see and hear things that weren't there, even during the day. Feeling desperate, Daniel returned to the silent house, looking for a way out. But the curse was no longer just in that house. It had become a part of him. Finally, the curse claimed him. Daniel became just another one of the trapped souls, his essence sealed within a doll's body. The doll maker's curse had taken another victim, and the deep, dark secrets of Riverdale remained, hidden in the silence, waiting for the next soul to uncover them.